Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a special edition of the Bully the Board podcast.
Yeah.
I'm Steve. This is Seth.
What up?
We are filming, as you can see, in person. Seth's back in town, and we're filming at the one and only Frog and Firkin. If you're ever in Tucson, got to check it out.
Yep.
But enough of that. We are here to talk about NFL Week 17. Look, see what's going on upcoming. And before we hop into that, please, as always, a like, a subscribe. Does us a lot of good. And with that, let's hop into it.
Give a damn about a hater when I feel like it. Not today, not today, not today, not tomorrow. Get out my way, please. I'm trying to get paid. Not today, not today.
All right, so NFL Week 17 is upon us. This season has gone by so quick. Any impressions? What happened from last week, or kind of what's going on with this season?
Oh man, the Grinch stole Christmas for sure. We'll talk about it a little bit, but no, I mean overall the season's definitely coming into form. Obviously, the big dogs, the A and the AFC, NFC are kind of doing their thing. I'm sure we'll talk about it, but the not the Lions, but the Cowboys coming up, and how that's looked has been quite interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. Overall, I think it's been shaping up pretty well and pretty interesting. And I think the model is starting to come into its own. And the biggest thing is the quarterbacks, is the injury of quarterback, and what can you do? What can you do there to model those things out? And it looks like it's not going to stop in Week 17. We're still going to have a lot of injuries. And we just got to do what we got to do.
Yeah, no, I hear you all the way. And I think for me too, it's one of those things where, this year versus last year, right? We talked about all the quarterback changes and how that was insane. And then we're running to that again this year. But again, we talked about before, just being able to navigate that, I think, more confidently this year has been helpful because shit's been crazy between benchings, injuries, just indecision, every which way.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't think we've hit the record yet.
Yeah.
Where we had like 64, 63 last year.
Yeah.
But we're close. I think it was in like the 40s or 50s. And it changed a lot of these teams. And this is actually maybe not the biggest week for it, but we're going to talk about some of the big brand name benchings and things like that. But yeah, I mean, you even see it in the market. Spreads will shift 3, 4, 5 points on some of these benchings. So yeah, you got to just keep an eye out for it and handle it as best you can.
Yep. All right. Well, let's just kind of hop into it then.
Okay.
So, kind of going through what we started about, every week, going through different conferences and divisions. So, I want to start with you with, I guess, any teams in general that you are either really sold about or you're really concerned about. Like, what is your biggest takeaway, lesson learned from Week 16?
Yeah, Week 16. That's interesting. That's an interesting question to kind of zoom in there. I mean, I would probably assume you would think that you got more data about your Cowboys. It's hard for me to say that they didn't play well.
Sure.
I mean, I think the Finns are good. That was kind of immovable object meets unsolvable force. Someone had to beat a good team.
Right.
It was either going to be Miami or it was going to be Dallas. So that was interesting. I was on vacation, so I didn't really get to watch a lot of these things. Anecdotally, it seemed like the biggest win was Baltimore. Just because they took down the sleeping giant. That was just like, oh no, nobody can beat the 49ers. Brock Purdy looks like a god. And he threw, I think, 4 picks in that game, so that was interesting.
Yeah.
The question becomes, the Eagles to me are a team that is a huge question mark, especially defense. So it'll be interesting to see if there's any pathway in the NFC other than San Francisco. Who is it?
Sure.
Because it just seems like a huge drop off. AFC and the Chiefs, that's an interesting dynamic there. I don't know. Week 16, I still don't know that I know much more that I learned in Week 16 that I didn't know in Week 15.
No, that's fair. Yeah, I think for me, the biggest thing I learned are 2 lessons. One, San Francisco solidified all those dudes, and that's not a surprise, right? I think we've been saying that week in and week out, but I'm really concerned about Philadelphia. I know they beat the Giants, but that was not convincing in any manner, right? I actually have more concerns and questions off that win, than I necessarily did off those losses. It's piling those things together. They, to me, are seemingly more like frauds. And I hate to say this because I've been on the Cowboys' ass all year about them not being the real deal. I might have to take that back and say I don't think Philly is who we thought they were. And now, can they pull it together? I think Kelsey, on this podcast with Travis, they were saying like, he was like, oh, we're playing like shit. Essentially, we're making mental mistakes, and we got to get it together. And if it's something you can flip that switch, okay, great, stop making those mistakes. But I just don't think this is that same team we saw last year. And to your point, you're making this point all year. Is it because we just saw them having a much easier schedule last year, so they looked way better than they were?
Sure, and the effective coordinator, using offensive and defensive coordinator, and both those coordinators are having quite a lot of success. So, I mean, clearly those were big deals. And they also lost a lot of their secondary to the free agency market, and that's very true here. To not be square here, it doesn't feel like – sure, you can take whatever you want away from the San Francisco game, but it's like who in the NFC can actually pull that off?
Yeah.
Early in the season, you might have thought Dallas had the defense to do it, but as we go further and further, their defense is good for sure, but it's not like this can't do anything kind of defense. I mean, we saw Tua have a lot of success.
Right.
So I would assume San Francisco can have success there as well, especially in round 2. I don't know. NFC feels the most unknown. I still wish I would have believed the conversation a couple weeks ago and bought some of those Rams tickets.
Yeah.
Because they look like they're going to sneak in, and man, like they have the weird pieces. I don't want to say to go for a run. I don't know that they can actually pull it off.
Yeah, and I think more than just sneak in. If I remember correctly, they are in the hunt, right? So now they have per NFL.com, a 64% chance of making it to the playoffs. So, I mean, I think you're right there. And so we look at who's locked in. Ravens and Dolphins have locked in a playoff appearance from the AFC. And then from the NFC, you've got Niners, Eagles, Lions, and Cowboys, with the Niners and Lions having won their divisions. So, this is going to be great for me. I think one more thing I want to ask you, though, because for me, in terms of the teams I'm worried about, Kansas City. They beat the Patriots last week or 2 weeks ago, technically, right? But that's been one win in this kind of sea of really disturbing losses where the offense just doesn't seem to be able to put it together. And we've said all year that they're winning games with their defense. But there's only so much this defense can do if this offense can't string together drives and points, and you're having all these drops and unforced errors, the famous offsides thing, right?
Yeah.
They're in a spot where they legitimately could lose the AFC West to the Raiders. Who had that on that bingo card? Not I.
Yeah. No. Well, definitely, I didn't have it on my bingo card, but I definitely have some tickets for Vegas to win the Super Bowl because I thought that this team is good, and it turns out they fucking were. But back to the Chiefs. I mean, if we look at the efficiency landscape here, we can see that you see Patrick Mahomes like freaking out and doing these things, and I think that's just a competitive thing. Yeah. But people are like, "Oh my god, like what is this happening?" It's like because up until this point, the Chiefs have won through offense.
Right.
And they're not doing that. Look at it. They keep getting closer to average every week. They're not used to being an average offense. They have stayed in games and won those games through mostly defense and having a pretty close to a little bit above average offense. That is not the Chiefs' formula for winning. Now, we'll see what that looks like bearing fruit as far as can they go far with this new formula. But I think that's where the frustration is coming from.
Yeah.
They're used to like defense is secondary, offense is elite, and we'll just go score. We'll figure this out. We'll fucking eke out wins. I mean, they're notorious for not covering, but they win.
Right.
That's hard to do when you don't have the elite offense. So we'll see where this goes. I mean, I'm sure they regret trading Tyreek. I mean, it seems like he's killing. I mean, he's killing it in Miami, and they for sure could use him. So we'll see what that looks like. But I don't think. If the angle is like, well, Mahomes is like a god and Mahomes can like do it, I don't know if this is the year that like bears fruit. I think I would like temper your expectations as far as what this offense can do. And maybe this is a crazy take. Tell me if I'm crazy. I'd rather apply that logic right now to Josh Allen and the Bills.
Ooh, okay.
I know a couple weeks ago there was a lot of sharp action in the futures markets around the Bills, Super Bowl, AFC, and that isn't that crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm shook enough. I cashed out one of my Dolphins to win AFC East tickets because it was priced at like 80% of its value, of its total value. So I just went ahead and locked up profit. I still have one ticket left, but is it crazy that they win the AFC East?
No, no. I mean, I think it's, on the terms of, was it probable, like likely, probable, whatever, I think there's
it might come down to the week
right,
18
exactly. Yeah. So I think there's a slightly greater than 50% chance they could win the AFC East, which 3 weeks ago, that seemed highly unlikely.
No, I know.
Highly unlikely, but their defense has got together, they've gotten healthy, and Allen is playing the way he should be able to play. So I'm with you on that. And I think for me, when I talk about the AFC picture, I still have faith in the Dolphins. But a team that I'm a little worried about from, like, if I'm a competitor, the Browns. I mean, we talked all year about how when Deshaun was back there, when PJ was back there, they had this great defense just going to waste because they had no offensive production from the quarterback position. And then all of a sudden, Joe Flacco was looking like Brock Purdy and Tom Brady had a baby. Yeah.
I don't know where he was not as sexy as you would imagine, but I want to know where he is now after a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I remember. I don't know where he is now. I remember a couple of weeks ago we talked about this. He was in the top left.
He's right here.
Yeah.
So he's up. He's up at the top, but he's getting closer to average.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So.
And I guess, and for me, we talk about Deshaun. Deshaun, I think he was closer. He was still volatile, but he was closer to being his biggest bugaboo was he wasn't
the same. EPA.
Yeah, just Joe Flacco is more volatile, which is
smaller sample size.
No,
he's
for sure.
Thrown.
Yeah, but I guess my point there being like Joe Flacco, when you look at him from an EPA standpoint, is not doing godlike work, but this team seems so much better with him.
Yeah,
and so like, what is the difference? If not that, what is the difference between him and Watson? That this team all of a sudden looks like they are a potent offense without Nick Chubb, right? Sure. It's like, what is going on there? And I don't have the answer to that, but this team looks revitalized.
Yeah, they do. And I mean, you can see here they're still below average offensively, but if you can get this great defense to an average
game
offense, like, I mean, they still have to beat like good teams like the Ravens, and
sure,
who knows what that looks like, but no, that's seemingly one of the few things Stefanski's done. I think that can get him some credibility here. I still stand they should have went and got Jacoby. Look at on this graph. This is Jacoby Brissett out here.
Yeah.
God tier, Super Saiyan tier. Now, obviously, that's tongue in cheek because the small sample size, but he hasn't thrown a lot of passes this season. I don't know. It's really interesting. I mean, you could definitely think about some tickets. Cleveland to win the Super Bowl looks like best price in the market is plus 5,000.
Wow.
At FanDuel, DraftKings. But Buffalo at plus 1,100, plus 1,200 at DraftKings. Isn't that piques my interest, I have to say.
Sure.
Win division here for Buffalo. Okay, this is very interesting. This is at plus 270. 2 weeks ago, this was at plus 1,100 because I looked and I thought, it's probably maybe I should just buy that ticket and hedge rather than sell. And I didn't end up doing that, but I mean that's 5x, 4x cheaper.
Yeah.
Now, or better probability. So
yeah.
I don't know. That one is like they're getting healthy and they have all the skills. The Bills, I think, are a fucking scary team. I don't think anybody's gonna want to play them in the playoffs.
Sure. Yeah, I agree.
And then it's just the Eagles, dude. Like the Eagles defense there, that's so fucking wild.
Yeah.
Like the Eagles are basically Green Bay statistically on an EPA per play basis, and that's pretty wild to kind of think about. And then we'll talk about, I think, the Falcons. Like, what a disappointing team, and what did it come down to? Fucking Desmond Ridder.
Yeah,
he was the linchpin, dude. And we our models like them. I know a lot of sharps gave it out, like. But I said it. It's like everybody was just like assuming he was just going to put it together, and he did not.
No.
And it'll be interesting to see what kind of goes on with him. And then I guess I don't know if you guys talked about last week, Bill Belichick moving on. That'll be interesting. But he's just like Sith Lord, just taking names on his way out. And then the other team that is just the most confusing to me is the Saints.
Sure.
Who are the Saints? What the hell is this team's identity?
Right.
They play nobody. They have the easiest schedule. They played the Rams, and the Rams dominated them. They couldn't stop them on defense, and they barely could keep up offensively. In fact, that box score is misleading. There was a garbage time timeout that I think, or score, that really wasn't meaningful. I don't know. I can just tell you, like, good on us. We have Ravens Super Bowl tickets,
Yeah.
Fins Super Bowl tickets, and 49ers Super Bowl tickets. And those all feel pretty damn good.
Yeah.
And I think actually they're the favorite. Those are the favorites to win it all, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, okay, that'd be good. I know. My Fins are 2x their value now.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, so they're so doing a double dip method. It's now enough to cover both tickets with a slight profit.
Okay. Yeah. Those are the 3 favorites: San Francisco, Baltimore, Miami, in that order.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
So, buckle up.
I know those are good tickets to have.
Yeah.
Let's see how we,
Yeah, and we even talk about that. I mean, the Monday night game. I mean, the Ravens came in. They said all week, "Oh yeah, no, we like being underdogs. We don't mind being underdogs, but 5.5, that's too many." And they came in and they said,
and that thing got as high as 6.5, and I think closed at 6. And our model said the number was 4.
Yeah.
I was traveling, so I couldn't get money down. But I don't think anybody that tells you they knew that
Ravens going to win,
like handedly,
right?
That's stupid. It closed at 6, which means that more of the consensus was that San Francisco should win and cover a 4 or 5.
Yeah.
So I don't think anybody knew to that extent. The only thing is did you get your one win against a really good team too early?
Oh, okay.
Right.
Yeah.
It's hard to beat a team more than once.
Sure.
And it's also difficult to like coaching aspect, right? Like you've seen what they're going to do.
Yeah.
You can kind of think about a way around or a better game plan. Mm-hmm. You can scheme differently. So that'll be interesting. I mean, a lot of games have to be played in order for that rematch to happen. But I don't know. That's kind of how I'm thinking about things right now. I mean, as far as future markets, we're just kind of in the place where we're just seeing what happens with all of the hard work in the off season.
Yeah.
I think we had 8 total futures picks, and 4 have cashed. We've cashed 3 of them. Browns over 9.5 cash last week.
Yep. Raiders over.
Yeah, we should talk about that.
Okay.
So we both said that was dead.
Yeah.
I think I said that the fucking roof is on fire, the house is on fire.
Yeah.
Evacuate. I don't know, dude. McDaniels was just, I guess, the worst coach of all time.
There's no other option there, right? Yeah. I mean, and to be fair, let's not make hyperbole. The worst coach of all time. That's a little extreme. Brandon Staley's probably the worst coach of all time. but
is it true? Because I mean, this dude didn't even make it 2 seasons.
Yeah,
and this is his second stint. I don't know. It was just wild. Yeah. But they are the team. They're playing like the team that I forecasted that they could be. Like, they have a lot of offensive potency. It's very interesting they're doing with O'Connell. I wouldn't have called that for sure.
Yeah.
But we cashed their over 6.5, which is which is nice. We cashed Carolina under 6.5, and then the one we lost was Houston Texans, over, or we had under 6.5. They won 7 games. But they've been losing streak, which sucks because if they end up with 7 wins, that's going to hurt a little bit. But, CJ's been out.
Right.
I think we're going to get him back this week, which will be interesting to see. So 4, and then we have 4 left. We have over Atlanta. They have to win out. Over Green Bay. Over 7.5 for Green Bay.
Yeah, 7.5, I believe. We have
under 7.5 for Chicago, I believe. It might be 8.5. I don't remember. And what's the 4th?
It's over Minnesota, right?
Under Minnesota.
Under Minnesota. Yeah.
Yep. Which are all correlated because Green Bay, Chicago, Atlanta all play each other.
Yeah.
In the next 2 weeks. So it's going to be a correlated win or a correlated loss.
Yeah. Which every year it's like it comes down to this last. Which if nothing else, at least you're at least in the race. Whatever methodology going into this, it's on the right track, right? Because you're coming down to the last week, make or break, right? You're in the race. Like everyone except for Houston, we've been in the race, or we've already won. So
yeah. So I mean, there's some wiggle room there.
Yeah,
we'll see. I mean, Green Bay. The question mark becomes Chicago. Who is Chicago? And we've talked about this a couple weeks ago. Chicago is now above average on defense,
right?
And they're damn near offensively average. Dare I say, Chicago is an average team.
Yeah.
When's the last time you could say that?
2016. Not that anyone's counting, but yeah.
And they've earned that average spot, to be honest. So I'm a little scared that Chicago can screw us here because they get the 2 wins that they need to make the playoffs. we're gonna lose our Atlanta ticket and probably our Green Bay ticket.
Yep.
And then we'll lose the Chicago ticket. So it's like,
yeah. And again, and as a Chicago fan, it just feels like they do everything they can. Whatever you need them to do, they do the opposite. And it's just part of the heartbreak. But, this is one of the times where I'm hoping Chicago can really stick to its identity and just lose when it matters. That's all I'm asking, Bears. Just lose when it matters.
yes.
Do what you do best. But I want to give a quick shout out though to our enemy, which is my enemy. Right? I don't hate them nearly as much as I hate the Packers, but Lions. I mean, first NFC North championship in 30 years. I mean, listen, you gotta respect. I mean, when you lose for that long, like that's just hats off. So.
Yeah, no, it's a good win, and congrats on them. I don't know, that's like Jay-Z line. No moral victories are for minor league coaches. I'm quite surprised to see Dan Campbell and that team celebrate that so much.
Oh, sure.
I get that it's a big accomplishment, but
as Kobe said, job's not done.
Job's not done. Job's not even job's barely even started. Like this team has struggled against some interesting teams.
Yeah,
and we're going to talk about it. We think they're going to struggle this week.
Yeah.
And what could be more Lions than that? Like, won the division, and then they go lose by 14.
Right.
That is a little where I think could happen, or first round exit in the playoffs. So I'm a little confused by that. Not confused. I get it. But it seemed a lot. Like they won the Super Bowl. Yeah, I don't know. Things are shaping up. I'm really excited for playoffs. Because they're if Purdy has a bad game, it's clear that they can lose.
Right.
And it's clear that I guess Purdy can have a bad game.
Yeah.
So we could, I don't know. Can we see we've seen the Ravens have weird games. I can see them stumbling. This year doesn't seem more open than most, but it just seems like we've seen all the teams have flaws.
Sure.
So is there an opening where we see that in the playoffs, and then and then are there any moves to be made from the marketplace to bet on that?
Yeah.
Maybe I'll throw the Rams back out there. I don't know. I think I could really get behind this Bills push.
Sure.
Bills at 1,100. I don't think you've been able to get them preseason at that number. And what's really changed?
Right, from then to now. Right.
They haven't really. They've lost some guys on defense, but they're getting people back.
Yeah, right.
I don't think they have any offensive losses. So I don't know. It's very interesting.
Yeah. All right. Let's move.
Sure. Let's talk about quarterbacks real quick.
Yeah.
One thing is I'm going to try to just fix this.
Sure.
Because okay.
Oh, actually, you know what? You want to maybe you can take it to the your AirPods and just move them out the way.
Well, it's just a mute.
Oh yeah, mute will work. Yeah. I'm iPad illiterate, so.
I think I got it because I don't hear anything.
Boom, boom. Oh, perfect. There you go.
As long as we're still recording here. Okay, because I just want to make sure the audio isn't getting messed up.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So if for 23 minutes in you couldn't hear any of that, sorry. Okay. One thing. So I've been traveling, so I haven't been able to do any of the pass funnels. Something I'm definitely going to be looking into this week.
Okay.
And the pass funnel teams have kind of stayed consistent, to be honest.
Sure.
It's been Tampa Bay. It's been Houston, really. Mm-hmm. And what do you know? I mean, Houston last week made Mari Cooper look like a god. Right? These pass funnels guys are so powerful. So make sure you're taking a look there because there's money to be made. And I think the Lions are sneaking. They're right behind there, behind Houston. You can definitely target Atlanta. You could definitely target Chicago and then New England. And then, there's no reason you also can't look at Tennessee and Washington because they're just bad. They're just, they're even worse. But these pass funnel teams, that effect is hard or really high. So definitely going to, be looking to cash some of those tickets here in the next couple of weeks, running some simulations there.
Yeah.
Quarterback landscape. I just really thought this was funny when I ran the numbers. Like Jacoby Brissett is literally just god tier.
Which is insane. I mean, again, it's small sample size, I know, but
he's probably thrown like 30 passes or something like that. It's really not representative, but I just thought it was. I mean, this really hasn't changed. You saw Purdy get. He's still really efficient, but he had some volatility. No, that's to be expected after the game he just had.
Yeah.
But Josh Allen, like Baker Mayfield in the quadrant of elite. I mean, that's not a. I guess we did kind of give that out. We gave that out to our board members. We didn't run Sims. We just thought there was a shit ton of value on Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
That was a good team. That they lost Tom Brady, but like they won 8 games last year with Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Like and he was not an efficient. He was not very Tom Brady like last year.
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised that cashed with ease.
Yeah.
I think it was over 6.5.
Yeah.
That cashed 2 weeks ago. What, week ago?
Yeah. I think a week ago. But then also too, I mean, think about it. They were last in the league running the ball when Tom Brady was there. Like they couldn't run the ball to save their life.
That's true.
Right. It's like Tom Brady had to go God mode just to look average.
Yeah, that's true. That is good. That is true. But they had the pieces, right? They had Godwin. They had Mike Evans. Like, they had all these pieces, and ironically now they're actually running the ball, I think, fairly well. No, they're still struggling, but
better than they were last year.
Yeah, and Baker's, dare I say, more efficient than Tom Brady was last year.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's not the same roster, so it's different. New offensive coordinator, so it's a different offense. A lot of these things. So I don't know, but pass funnels guys, like, just this is one of those things. Like, you can, it's a big angle.
Yeah.
So you know, even if you're not running Sims, if you can identify those wide receivers and quarterbacks, like you're going to see a lot more success than not, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Okay, let's break down some specific games. So we put this in here. I don't think anybody's looking forward to watching this game. But this has got to be the shit bowl for quarterbacks.
Yeah.
You have Stick and now Stidham.
Yeah.
So it just came through the wire earlier today that Denver has benched Russell Wilson, which is wild from a cap standpoint. We're not going to go there.
Yeah.
It has really nothing to do with the betting market.
Yeah.
The market this is the one thing I've been kind of wondering. Should coaches hire like an analytics person and look at betting markets to look at the impact that the market believes by the decisions you make? What do I mean by that?
Mm-hmm.
Broncos with Russell starting was at -6. They changed starting quarterbacks, and the market's like, that's a 3-point decision you're doing that's going against you.
Yeah.
So give me your thoughts here. Like, this seems crazy to me. We don't really know the ins and outs, right? So this could be like, they don't think they're going to make the playoffs, so let's just figure things out now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fair. But just to see that they would make a decision like this, week 17,
right?
It, like, statistically, Russell's better quarterback.
Yeah. And I think, and you know, they technically, right? So they're not eliminated from the playoffs. I think for me, that's the wild part. They're on the bubble now. Currently, NFL.com gives them a 7% chance to make the playoffs. If they lose, they're out effectively.
Okay.
Right. If they win, they go up to a 12% chance. So yeah, it's not great, but this is not a meaningless game. Like, if you're somebody who's fighting for your season, this is Sean Payton saying, "Hey, I think our playoff chances are better with Jarrett Stidham than Russell Wilson," which is insane. And we talked about this. I'm not sure if you were here this week, but maybe 4 or 5 weeks ago, we were on this podcast. We were talking about this, and RG3 had a podcast, and he was saying the way that Peyton treats Russell is how I felt when I was in Washington, where my coach didn't want me. I was not his guy, and he wanted to get me out of there, and he wanted to make me look bad. And you see the stuff on the sidelines. Okay, you know, Peyton's kind of a hard-nosed coach, no nonsense, whatever. But this just kind of fits that narrative that whatever's going on here, I mean, the Broncos have been on an upswing. Ever since they beat the Chiefs, they have been on the swing of, they're winning now. So why change that?
And they almost beat the Texans. They had a last-minute drive. They were in the red zone.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand this. It's clear to me that 7% chance is negligible to them. Like, they just, like they're just saying, no, we're not going to make the playoffs.
But then even then, so then you say, okay, well, if we're not going to make the playoffs, are you going to give Stidham reps for the future?
Yeah.
Is he going to be a starting quarterback next year? Or are you going to say try to move Russ after he's got his contract, his extension? That doesn't make a lot of sense. You know,
it doesn't make any sense. None of this makes sense. But yeah, it is confirming what people have been suspecting, which is that Sean Payton does not want Russell.
Yeah.
Now, what makes this further less sense to me is they're not an embarrassment of riches.
Yeah.
Like they don't even have a first round pick, I don't believe.
No,
so
they do not.
There isn't like, we're gonna figure this out, we're gonna do this, and this. They have not a lot of options.
No.
And I don't know who's going to trade for Russell's contract.
No, yeah.
I don't know that there's anybody in a worse situation that would want that. So
right.
I don't know. But from a betting standpoint, I mean, you can see this is a bad bet.
Yeah. Yeah.
like you're just donating a lot of money to the books. And whatever, if you want to do that, do that. If you want an angle here from my mind, it's that Sean Payton knows something we don't.
Sure. Okay.
And Stidham is vastly better than he's.
Mm-hmm.
I believe he's only started 3 games.
Okay.
So, or it's he's definitely a rookie in our database. I know that. So, like, if you think Stidham is if you trust Sean Payton and you think Stidham is like just a diamond in the rough, then maybe this 3 is a gift for you because you get to go against Stick. I don't think we're going to see the same 2 week in a row of success. I mean, Stick looked good for a couple drives, and then they schemed up pretty well. I mean, the thing is here defensively, the Broncos are better. The Broncos are a better defense. So can they get pressure? Can they do that? So I don't know. It's not a game I'm touching.
Yeah. From my standpoint, I think the angle there is, I think this is a game. I don't think Stidham is a better quarterback. I think this is a game that no matter who started at quarterback for Denver, they have a decent chance of winning because their defense going up against Stick is such a mismatch, right? Yeah. And so if you want to go like storylines and kind of speculation here, I think this is further evidence of Peyton saying, hey, listen, I don't like Russ. And look, we can win without Russ in a game that is kind of could be a cupcake game for their defense. Yeah. So he's not doing this against the Chiefs, right? Like that's not a game that Stidham's likely going to win where Russell did. And again, we don't ever know, but right. So I think this is going back to that whole thing of something's happening in that locker room, and Russ is not Peyton's guy, and he's gonna make Russ look bad by giving Stidham good wins or wins. I should say.
Yeah, but I mean, Chargers did play the Bills pretty tough last week. So I didn't get to watch the game, so I don't have a lot of intelligent things to say. These teams are pretty similar. The interesting thing here is that the market's kind of buying that. You have Pinnacle at 3.5. Like somebody's bought this 3. So
I think what you saw last week, and I think Kevin and I were kind of talking about this as well, was I think you saw the Gift Smith effect, just like we saw with McDaniels, right? So this is the first game since Staley's been fired. Yeah. Teams revitalized, like, hey, F that guy. That coach sucks. Yeah. And they're playing for Smith. Now, how long can that continue? I don't know. I mean, look at what Pearson's doing in Vegas. Those guys are rolling, right? Yeah. So I will give them that. Like there is a possibility.
But you got Keenan Allen out this season. Yeah. He's not going to come back, from my understanding. Like, who's Stick throwing to? Like, I don't know.
But no, I'm with you. I just my last point on this is from a guy in Sean Payton who left his quarterback in the waning seconds running plays in that 70 to whatever point loss. Like that to me was the red flag that no, this is not right. This is not normal. This guy does not like him. And I think we're seeing it.
But to your point, though, the thing that's even crazier to me is that seems like ages ago. Yeah, that team. This team has won a bunch of games. So you would think like it looked and it appeared like things were on the up and up.
Yeah, winning cures all, right? Apparently not.
Apparently not. All right, this is going to be a good game. Yeah. All right, there's a little teeny weeny bit of value on the Ravens. Our model makes the number 5. This market opened at 3. There are 3.5s in the market, so there's a little bit of validation there from the marketplace. Remember though, guys, like if you really want to have action on this, like you're okay grabbing a 3.5 because you still need to win by more than 3.5, which is 4. Same if you have a 3, you have to win by more than 3. That's 4. So don't be scared away. The thing here is once you get to that 4, you wouldn't think it's a key football number, but statistically it kind of is only because of that 7, subtract the field goal 4. That it does end up being a key outcome number. So once you get to the 4, you're going to have there's going to be no expected value.
Sure.
Steve, is this a game I would want to watch, excited to watch?
Yeah.
Not sure I really want to bet this game. Like, I want to be like, the Ravens after that win, but like, and you could say the same about the Fins.
Right.
And that Dallas defense is good.
Yes.
So it's like the Ravens defense is good, but this is going to be, to me, more of a good game. I'm glad the model doesn't really have it. You can see that these teams offensively, their success rate identical.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Ravens defense is better here, but then the Fins offense is better. So this is just going to be a good game, and part of me wishes we could get like a Fins plus 3.5 feels like a good number, but
sure,
you can see what the numbers actually say. The Ravens are a better team.
Yeah. No, and this is going to be one where it's like this is the point where I on my own I would have to stay away, and I'm glad, like you said, the model's reaffirming that, because I wouldn't really feel great either way unless these numbers got a lot larger, right? Where like these two teams are very close, and the field goal in that range does feel right either way. You're looking at Miami, and their biggest bugaboo was they can't beat teams with winning records, and they did that against Dallas, right? And that was that was a good win, right? Then you see the Ravens come out and they just put a smackdown on the 49ers. Yeah. And, now you hear Lamar. I think Lamar now is the front runner for MVP in terms of – yeah, right? And so but I'm not sure if – I know these two teams are both good. I know these two teams are both great. They're the only two teams in the AFC that have clinched a playoff spot as of today, right? And so I know they're great. My problem, though, is their weaknesses, right? I still don't know if I trust Baltimore to come in and not have a game with a bunch of unforced drops and Lamar turnovers. Right. I'm not sure if I trust Miami to go back and start beating these elite teams and not struggle with the cream of the crop.
That's true.
Right.
One win against Dallas. Has the same issue.
Right.
Beating good teams.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not sure if I'm ready to believe that. But I think this will be a hell of a game. I will be watching this game from start to finish. But yeah, this is a no bet for me, dog.
Yeah, it'll be interesting how the money flows. I think that I know our model is just overinflates a little bit, so I think the true number here is 4. Okay. And again, there's going to be a teeny beany bit of value at the 3 if you can get a 4, or if you make the number 4, and the market's agreeing that they're buying that. But you can see the downward pressure. Sure. The 3.5s now are 120 minus 124 minus 115. Like these are expensive now because these are. Now you're getting the hook through the field goal the other way. So, I think you're going to see a war here at 3. Sure. I won't be surprised if this opens at 3, closes at 3. Sure. And in between, you're going to see it get bought to 3.5 and then bought back down, and then so on and so forth. So, if this gets to 2.5, though, this is one of those games. If you think it's going to get to 2.5, buy the 3.5 for Miami and play that middle, because I think you can get this feels like a field goal game. Yeah. That being said, we make the number 5. So maybe that's, if you want to trust the analytics completely, then I wouldn't do that strategy. Okay, let's move on. The other thing here, too, is I guess if you want to play a futures market, then you would want to play the Dolphins here. Because if the Dolphins win, they're probably not going to jump the Ravens. Mm-hmm. But they're going to go up in odds. Right now, the market has them priced at about plus 750 to win the Super Bowl, whereas Baltimore is at the highest numbers plus 450. So I think you'll see those numbers get closer together. So if you want to have a futures ticket on Miami because you think they're going to win this game, that would be a good way to play it if you want tickets, because those tickets are only going to get basically worse and worse as time goes on, or better and better, however you want to look at it. If you hold the ticket at plus 750 and it goes to plus 500, that's a good thing for you. Right. But if you wanted to bet them, that's the worst thing for you. So, this one I'm excited about. Cowboys versus Lions. The model likes the Cowboys. I have to say I'm super psyched that the model likes the Cowboys here. And they're pretty much better almost in every category, which is I think that's pretty telling. I mean, this opened at 6. That's a pretty big spread in the NFL. Our model puts it through to the 8. Has Cowboys favored by 8. Market is still sitting around 6. I think we gave our followers a 5.5. There was a 5.5 at the market at open. You actually get about a 3% bump in expected value at the 5.5. So that's not bad here, but okay, let's talk about it. Cowboys don't beat good teams. Are the Lions a good team?
Yes. Okay. Now I will. My caveat. I think my thing is Cowboys don't beat good teams on the road. I think the road issue is their bugaboo.
Further with the excuses.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is the home game for Dallas, and I think this is where they're going to shine.
Yeah.
Are the Lions a good team? Yes, I think you have to give the Lions credit. They won the North, and you can say which one about the North, but they won the North, right? They're coming in here offensively, have been doing well all year. But this is what we talk about week after week after week. That defense that started out surprisingly high, surprisingly good, has slid back to the good old Lions we've known and loved, right? Where the defense is starting to become a liability, right? So you can see offensively, again, they are above average, right? The top 6, top 17, and then defense, they're sliding back down below average. So not good for a Cowboys team that can put up yards, that can move the ball, that can get to the 40-yard line, that can have success. Now, can they come out the red zone? That's been the Cowboys' bugaboo, right? It's finishing drives, but they're going to move the ball. And so this, to me, has a shootout potential written all over it, but the Cowboys just have more pieces to make that stop when they have to or to score that touchdown when they do. So I do, as much as I say the Cowboys are fraud, and as much as I believe that to my core, I think this is a good game. If I'm just looking at the analytics, you can't not take this bet.
No, this is a great bet. This is a great bet. I think this closes at 7.
Yeah.
I'll be surprised if we see Lions money come in here. There's really that's the biggest issue with the Cowboys. They do not finish drives, and quite frankly, that's what cost them the Miami game. They fumbled in the red zone. I mean, so in a weird way, I don't like angles. I don't like emotional plays. It has nothing to do with this game. But I can easily anecdotally sit here and say it feels better to have this bet, them coming off the loss that they have, where they played pretty well.
Sure.
And they need to win. They need to win these games because they can't just beat these bad teams. This is a good, win for them if they can get it. But I'm with you. I don't know if I feel a shootout here. We've seen Goff struggle, and those game plans are kind of through the pass game. The question will become, the Cowboys really could not stop the run last week against Miami. Where is and that's not surprising. So they're about average against the rush, but they're way better against the pass. So can the Lions get their running game going, and that's how they can kind of beat them, because that's kind of the game plan that the Dolphins took last week. And it kind of worked. So I don't know. I love this bet. Like I said, we got a 5.5, which is really nice. I think this is just a good bet. I don't really think much more than
No, I agree. I think this is one of the ones where we always talk about the circle of Cowboys life, where they beat bad teams, people get their hopes up. This is our year, first round exit, right? I think this is the spot where this is a game that gives Cowboys fans hope. I think they come in and they're going to dominate at home, and we're going to get the revitalized chance of this is our year. Just to get blown out by the Rams.
Hey, I need to get on those Rams tickets. Rams to win the Super Bowl. What is this price at? Rams to win the Super Bowl is plus 7,000.
Wow.
They won 2 years ago. With a lot of the same pieces. And maybe better wide receiver core. Anyways, here nor there. All right. Bengals Chiefs. This has some implications for playoffs. More so for Bengals, right?
Right.
They have to win.
The Bengals lose. That's not a good look. They're effectively out of the.
All right. So they're fighting for their lives. The market opened this at -7 in favor of the Chiefs. It is now sitting at 7.5 in the market. Our model makes this number 8. Not a ton of value. You still got to win by more than one possession. There's 8's obviously not a key number. Not a ton of value here. Crazy. Look at that offensive success rate. The Bengals and the Chiefs have the same success rate without Joe Burrow here. That is insane. You can see how good this defense is for the Chiefs, and it goes back to what we were saying earlier. The Chiefs are winning games through defense. That is not how the Chiefs have historically done it. And I think that's why you're seeing a really frustrated Patrick Mahomes. Can they turn it on? Maybe. We don't have a ton of evidence that they can do that this season. And I think it comes down to not Patrick Mahomes, but the pieces that they have. Tony's been dropping passes, causing interceptions. I mean, he single-handedly cost them the week 1 loss to the Lions. I don't know. So, what are your thoughts on this game? Is this a game you're looking to bet? Is there an angle here that you like, or?
No, I'm looking at this game. I'm just more so concerned, right? Again, we talk about it. So the Bengals lose this game, they have an 8% chance of making the playoffs. If the Chiefs lose this game, they still have like an 80-ish% chance of making the playoffs. Now, if the Chiefs lose out and the Raiders win out, there's a chance that the Raiders can supplant them for the AFC West. That would happen because they have the better record, they have the head-to-head. So this to me is more so trying to figure out, can the Chiefs figure out their offensive identity? We've seen Kelsey getting frustrated on the sideline, launching helmets. Yep. We've seen Patrick blowing up. And quite frankly, we've seen them kind of make excuses. I mean, the Kadarius Toney thing, the offensive offsides, saying that's the worst call. You can't let them do that. Like, that happened before the play started. Like, that could have been a 10-yard sack or a touchdown, right? Like, you don't know the time. That's why they threw the flag. So, I don't know. This Chiefs team, to me, has just not been someone who can reliably show up when it matters. And Mahomes can only do so much. And so you mentioned Toney. We mentioned, Rashee Rice is maybe coming along a little bit, right? Pacheco, who's in concussion protocol. I'm not sure he's going to be clear. He might be. Edwards-Helaire, who had some injuries he was dealing with. So, like, this, not only are they banged up, but, like, the pieces they do have really aren't lifting their load. Yeah. So if they can't do this against a Bengals team where Jake Browning has looked like the absolute man coming in here.
Well, up until last week.
Yes, okay, that's fair. But
and the week before, where he had a good second half. But
yeah,
I actually was going to point out here, you can see the EPA for him at 13.25. He's 13 points over average.
Yeah,
I think you're going to see those numbers come back down to earth.
Sure, and you can see he had a rough first game. I mean, that was against the Steelers. We made his first start this year, and then he took off, right, and now it's kind of coming back down to earth. But I think the
first start was against Jacksonville.
Was it? Oh, maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Yeah. It was an ugly game for him, but I think they came back and won. Whatever that one, he had an early game early on. I remember thinking, because that was when we were saying, like, he need to be like a regular rookie, essentially what we needed from the model standpoint. Yeah. So
I think against the Vikings, but I think they lost the game. I don't remember. He struggled last week.
But I mean, this is a team though where I'm looking at the Bengals who are fighting for their playoff lives, and if the Chiefs lose this game, I think you start seeing some real things we're not accustomed to seeing in Kansas City. I think you see a lot of turmoil on the sideline. I think you see a lot of people freaking out. Yeah, but I think that's so if they lose this one. Yeah, exactly, right? Because now if they lose this game, shit's on. Week 18 actually matters for them.
Yeah.
If they lose and the Raiders win, Week 18 matters. And when's the last time Week 18 has really mattered
to the Chiefs?
Right. And when's the last time the Chiefs had played a road playoff game?
Never. Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, market, it's interesting. Someone at Pinnacle has bought the Chiefs. Now you get a 7.5 plus 106. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. I don't think you're going to see Cincinnati money come in here. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, it's interesting to see those defensive numbers for the Chiefs because this is not the team that
kind
of plays in that way. Yeah, I don't know. It's a game we're not touching. If you made me bet this, I guess I would take the Chiefs only because I think you could just reliably say that what's Cincinnati's back? What's the quarterback's name?
Jake Browning.
Browning's numbers are just going to come back to earth. Like, he's not a 13-point better than average quarterback.
Yeah, I would take the opposite side. I don't know. I don't disagree with that take.
Is Chase back? Do you know?
I don't know actually.
He was injured. I mean, the interesting thing about that situation is he has really good offensive pieces,
right? Yeah,
which is why Joe Burrow's good on his own.
Yeah, but it helps.
They're a championship caliber team, so they have a championship caliber roster independent of Joe Burrow. So yeah, that helps a lot. But yeah, if he doesn't have all those pieces, like that.
Yeah, but I guess my thing is though, I don't know if I trust the Chiefs' offense, which is it's crazy to say.
No,
right? I never thought,
but you probably can trust the Chiefs defense this year if they don't have, or not this year, but this game, if they don't have those pieces, if Cincinnati doesn't have like Chase or whatever. I don't know. It's to me, there's no angle here. I think I don't know. It would be interesting when you see like public splits. I don't know. It's just a bad bet in my opinion.
Sure. No, I think that's fair. I think the line is where the line should be. I guess that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, cool. And the market kind of agrees. Although somebody at Pinnacle bought the 7. So God bless. All right, we got to talk about it. The Grinch Stole Christmas.
Yeah.
1-4. Boy, oh boy.
Yeah.
Were we ever covering in the Bills game? I don't believe so.
No, I think we got close.
They were like 10, but they never got there.
Yeah.
We were covering in the Eagles game.
That was frustrating.
And very much an interesting game. Yeah. Let's zoom out here. I've gotten a couple messages, people saying like, man, the model, chill out. Okay, 2 weeks ago we went 4-1.
Right.
We went 1-4 this week. That puts us at 50-50, first of all. But more importantly, guys, whatever. There's obviously, maybe you come to us, you want picks, you want us to be touts. Okay, we'll play ball. The best thing that I can tell you, whether it's us, whether it's fucking Vegas Dave or whoever, the way you should be judging if you're getting good bets down is, do you see closing line value? Does the market agree with you by close? And Cardinals, you got a 4.5, closed at 4. Saints got a 4.5, closed at 4. Bills got a 13.5, closed at 13. So you got negative CLV there. Dolphins closed at 2. Eagles closed at 14. Okay. We gave it out when there was a 10.5.
Yeah.
Okay. So you saw closing line value on 4 out of 5, and you saw 0.5 point negative CLV on the Bills.
Right.
Which it is negative CLV, but comparatively, if you look at, if I did the math, if you the closing line value we got on the Eagles at 10.5, closing at 14, is a 17% edge. Okay,
it's insane.
So yeah, you're betting into a 52.4% market, and you had a 17% edge. Okay, so that's the biggest thing I can tell you. Whether, again, independent of us, you don't want picks from us, whatever, all good. Wherever it is you're going to go, that is the best thing, guys, you can be looking at. Why? That is the sign that you have an edge in the market and that you should keep betting. Because if you don't see that, how do you know that next week you should keep betting?
Right.
You went 1-4. You got your ass kicked. What makes you any better to believe that you should actually be participating in this market? It's closing line value. Right. That is the thing you want to look at.
Right. And I mean, simply put, it's why you play the game, right? Like upsets happen all the time. Underdogs win, favorites lose, whatever you want to call it. But your guiding star has to be, do I know what I'm doing? Am I on the right path? Right. Yes. And we talk about this ad nauseum. There is no more efficient market in sports betting than the NFL.
Correct. That's why it's so hard to beat.
Exactly. Right. And so if you are consistently getting on the right side, where you have this infinite amount of minds, it seems like, that agree with you, sharp minds that agree with you, and push the number in your favor, like, you are doing something correct. If you keep doing that, you are going to win. Look at the record. 30. I mean, like, going into this week,
50, with this loss,
right?
We're 55%.
Right. Like, so going into that, like, clearly the model has been doing well. There are gonna be weeks like this. We tell you guys, when we had the 9-0 week in college, we told you this is not normal. Like, we're gonna win a lot. We expect to win, but we expect to lose. But we're gonna win more than we lose. And above all else, you're getting CLV, and that's your North Star. So again, it sucks, but it's part of the life. As long as you know you have this going on, it's a great sign that you don't need to necessarily completely retool, right? Because you're on the right track.
Yeah, just 100%. And to your point, like remember, we're a syndicate first. Like, I promise you, I lost more money on all these picks than everybody that follows our picks. So, but again, right, whether it's us or it's anybody's, the best thing I can just hope that you can take away is that closing line value. That is how you know that you have an edge and that you should keep betting. If you don't see that, that's a question mark to me, right? So we see touts all the time. They give you picks at kickoff. That's interesting. I really have to say that's interesting. But again, this is how we do things. This is how we look at it. And it's a bad week. But I mean, right? The Eagles cover that game. It is what it is. No excuses. Closing line about is what you want to see. We saw it. Unfortunately, we didn't see the wins to accompany it. All right. Yeah. It's a new week. Yep. It's a new age. We got a couple of picks, baby.
Oh, let's go.
And we got a new one. So we ran the numbers because the Zach Wilson stuff kind of was a late breaker news. We have Thursday Night Football. We're recording this on Wednesday. So the Browns -7.5 will be a play. We're gonna get to bet on our boy Flacco, and let's just see if he can lead us to the promised land. I'm a little worried. I'm not gonna lie. This seems like a very scary pick. To me, 7.5 is a lot for a team and a quarterback that's average at best.
Sure.
And is one of the worst offenses in the league as far as an EPA per play. But we'll see. But anyways, these are the plays we are going to be playing. So we have Browns -7.5, Rams -4.5. We also gave this out at -6. This was before the Tyrod Taylor change quarterback. It still is expected value. I will be taking the 4.5 as well. So I have the 6. I will be taking a 4.5.
Let's go.
Happy to do it. I think it's. I think we made it the same number both times.
Yeah.
Cowboys -5.5. We were able to give out. You can bet this at 6 as well. Arizona Cardinals. We gave out a 12.5 before they played the Birds. So our board members, hopefully you all got the 12.5. You can still bet this at the 10.5. But shout out to you that got a 12.5. I know I have a 12.5. And then 49ers. This is no longer available, but we did give out a 13.5. So again, we'll run through that. Browns -7.5, Rams -4.5, Cowboys -6, Arizona +10.5, 49ers -13.5. That's the card this week. I'm psyched here.
Yeah.
Mostly because I don't care. I love the Rams. I love betting on the Rams.
Sure.
Matt Stafford covers fucking games. I don't care if we go 1-4 again. I wanted to bet the Rams last week. Like the Rams cover.
Yeah.
That's what they do.
Yeah.
So give me your thoughts here on this card.
Yeah, no, I like that. I like the Rams, and they're actually, I think Matt Stafford is one of the most underrated quarterbacks. Like people would agree that he's good, but when you see what he does with receivers, whether it's the end of Megatron's career or going to Puka Nacua, right? Like they all these receivers and their accolades, they have great seasons when they're with Stafford, and this dude knows how to sling the ball. I get the Giants. Yes, I get the Giants have a bump with Tyrod Taylor. He had a great second half against the Eagles. But to me, that's more because I have questions about Philadelphia than I think New York is all of a sudden better.
Especially against the pass.
Yes.
The Rams are actually quite good against the pass this year. I think defensively, the Rams can even hold New England. Or sorry, the Rams can hold the Giants more than the Eagles.
Yeah. Well, which is wild to say, going into this year, but it's absolutely true. We just talked about it. You can see they're on the defensive EPA per play here.
It's way better. They're close to average. The Eagles are way below average. Yeah. And then if we look at the stratification here on they're just a little bit below average on pass and a little bit above average on against the rush. But this is basically an average defense.
Yeah. Or the Eagles are not.
The Eagles are not.
Yeah.
The Eagles are not. So.
So I do like that. And so, but keeping with Philly, I feel dirty saying this, but I do like the Cardinals here. Yeah. I do love the Cardinals, and this is a team that the Eagles should absolutely beat up on, like they should have the Giants, but they don't, and they're not. Like there is smoke here. I don't know what it is, but there is smoke here with this Eagles team. We've always talked about how hard it is to cover double-digit spreads. This is a spot where I feel pretty smart betting on the Cardinals. Yeah. 100%.
Well, especially we have a 12.5.
Yeah, like that's too many. Yeah, I mean, we played a game, but that just
play the game.
That's too many.
We'll see where this thing closes. Would love to see this game get to 9.5. The market with us here. Yeah. I don't know where it's sitting here. Let's do a little bit of a market update on that.
Sure.
So I think that's a really great bet as well. 10 and it's okay. A little bit of action came in. Bought this thing to 11.
Okay.
So 11s and 10.5s. So we'll see. We'll see how this thing kind of shapes up. I have not seen any injury report. Today's Wednesday. We should see the first report for Cardinals. Maybe there's something there. I am excited to get the 49ers on under 2 possessions with them. They have to I'm not like this whole they have to show they're good. Like no shit. Every team does that every week. That's what they're trying to do. There isn't this I even hear this look ahead spot. This is the NFL. What the They look forward to every Thursday when they get paid. Right? Yeah, this is a profession. So I don't believe in those angles as much.
Yeah.
But this does seem like a game where they're going to want to be doing things to make Purdy get confidence back, figure out whatever issues they had. Go back, watch the film. What did they struggle with? Sure. And try to correct those things. And probably how do they create plays that try to correct some of these issues? And I think that Washington is kind of the team to get to do it against.
Yeah, no, 100%.
We'll see. I believe Jacoby's going to play. That's got me a little shook.
Not just play. He's going to start. Yeah.
He's going to start.
Yeah.
Jacoby is good.
Sure.
And I mean, I don't think we're going to see the Super Saiyan Jacoby Brissett. At least I hope not.
Yeah.
He could score.
But I think to that point, though, I know we're not talking about angles here, but if there ever were angle, I think not just for Purdy and what he can do, but the defense. I mean, the San Francisco defense takes pride in being a shutdown defense.
And they had some injuries against that Ravens game.
Yeah. So I think you're going to see improvements and tune-ups on both sides of the ball here. And I think that you can trust a 49ers team to be who you think the 49ers are going to be here. So
more consistently.
Yes.
We've been cashing a lot of tickets with them.
Yeah.
So we'll see. They've covered multiple double-digit spreads.
Yeah.
We'll see what ends up happening. I don't think this is a crazy card. I really have to say.
Yeah.
It's a mix of dogs. I mean, actually, there's one dog, and a couple favorites.
Yeah.
But some really hardcore favorites. And then what was Simeon starting for the Rams, right? Or for the
Jets?
That's interesting. Like, this team has been able to. It's just been a quarterback carousel, and is this kind of when it all comes crashing down?
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the ones where the Jets remind me of the Browns, right? They have a really good defense. It's kind of going to waste because they can't put it together offensively. The difference here, though, is the Browns are starting to figure out on the offensive side of the ball. I think the Jets are skating by with like low level wins. I'm not a believer in saying that the Jets are there yet. And so 7.5, would I love a 6.5? Of course, right? But the 7.5 doesn't really scare me as much in the sense that I think we go back and you see the Jets be the underperforming, unable to move the ball, incredibly not potent offense that we've known and loved this year.
And weirdly, like, the models picked a couple spots for them.
Sure.
They've done okay in those spots.
Yeah.
I can't remember if we bet against the Jets yet. I can't remember. I'm trying to think, but I don't know. And Joe Flacco, we trust this week, I guess. It'll be interesting to see what we get out of both these teams, because offensively, it's been abysmal all year for the Jets, and we're kind of hoping that we see more.
I mean, it's not a defense to change that, but
true. It's really not. It's really not. So that's the card. I don't know. I kind of like it, but it's more so like, what do we want to see? We want to see closing line value.
Yeah.
Now, unfortunately, with the Rams bet, because of this change in quarterback, we're going to see negative closing line value on the 6 that we bet, just because there's a change in quarterback. Now, I'm going to bet this again at the 4.5 because I think there's more value there.
Sure.
Than there was before. But we've seen closing line value already with the Cardinals. We'll see where that closes. I don't know that we're going to get back to the 12, but we'll see. We have seen closing line value now with the 49ers. It's moved to 14. It'll be interesting to track what happens with the Browns and then the Rams. Where does this number go? Do we see more support for Giants here? That seems a little short to take the Giants this season at 4.5, but maybe Tyrod Taylor is the man.
Let's keep him away from team doctors.
Yeah, keep him. Yeah, and anything that is unlucky.
Yeah.
Quick check-in with the futures bets. So, like we talked about, we did cash the Raiders over, the Browns over, and the under for Carolina, but did lose Houston. The remaining ones are Atlanta over 8.5. They have to win out.
Yep.
We have under 7.5 for the Bears. So they need to lose both these games. They just need to lose one game.
Yeah, they lose one game. Ideally, lose this week.
Yeah, because they play Atlanta, right?
Yeah.
And then over 7.5 for Green Bay and under 8.5 for the Vikings. And I believe week 18, Green Bay plays the Vikings. So it could very much come down
to that last one.
And who does Green Bay play this week?
The
It's
Packers.
I remember it's a 2-point game. I forget who they play.
The Packers have. Oh, no, they have the Vikings this week.
Is it this week?
They have the Vikings this week. Yeah.
So it's a really important game for us.
Yeah.
So if the Packers beat the Vikings, we cash both these tickets this week.
There you go. Yep. And then Chicago plays Green Bay next week.
Okay, so that's then our second chip. So Green Bay really, it kind of, if you think about it, Green Bay is the one that can fuck us.
Yeah. We
need them to win one of these games.
Yeah, and ideally, if Green Bay can win out,
if they can win one of these next 2 games, it'll cash 2 tickets for us.
Yeah, exactly.
So, But there's a lot of synergies here, which is really cool. Like,
yeah.
Like if Atlanta beats Chicago, we cash Chicago.
Right.
And if Green Bay beats Vikings, we cash Green Bay and Vikings.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. And I think Atlanta's gonna fuck us here. And I'm kind of look, team player. I want to make money.
Sure.
I want to just be able to clip myself, being like, "Yo, has anybody talked about Desmond Ridder?" like I don't know how we all overlooked this.
Yeah.
I mean, look, the model gave it. I know a lot of other people gave it out. I know Rask gave it out.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Desmond Ridder sucks, and we had no data to think that this guy was going to be like all of a sudden way better.
But I think that was the thing. Like, he didn't have to be way better. He just had to be somewhat decent. He had so many more pieces around him.
He was in the quadrant of suck from an EPA per play.
But that was fine. Like, he had much better. He had more running back help. He had better defensive help. Like, he just needed to not suck as much. He didn't have to be good. He needed to suck a little bit less, and he couldn't do that.
Yeah,
so
he couldn't do that. Yeah, I mean, roll Tide, roll. I'm with you here.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's it. We did it. This is the first live one in person.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we can do more of these. Hopefully you guys liked it. Obviously a bit of a different situation. Shout out to Frog and Firkin.
Yeah. Can we get one time? Can we show them the Frog jerseys?
Oh yeah, we could show. They provided these Frog jerseys. I think we number 1.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to Frog and Firkin. If you're ever in Tucson, Arizona, University Boulevard, they have all the needs. Beer, food, great time, the best staff in Tucson. This is one of our favorite places. We spent a lot of time here. We basically grew up here.
Yeah.
Bully the Board, in some ways, is probably birthed out of this place.
Honestly.
So, yeah, thanks so much to them, and we're super grateful. And, thank you all for being here. Hopefully you all had a wonderful holiday. We're going to be getting into New Year's here on Sunday, right? Is that so Happy New Year to all of you guys. And, we got much more to come. Obviously, we have Week 18 next week, and then we'll have the playoffs. Nothing's going to slow down here. Couple of bowl games for the college people that follow. I think we model likes Michigan.
Yeah, Michigan.
And a 3.5 for Texas if you can get it. It's not available yet, but it looks to be at a market maker. So maybe that'll be a game we bet. Anything else, Steve?
No, I just want to echo everything like you said. Thanks again. Shout out to Frog and Firkin for providing the space and the jerseys. And listen, good luck. We love this thing. Hope we finish this year strong.
Yeah.
And hopefully you've enjoyed the ride. And so we'll be back better. We're already doing great this year. We're already doing better than year one. We're going to continue doing better next year. Yeah. So thank you for the journey as we end the year here. We hope to see you again next year. And that's all I got.
Yeah, let's do it. All right, guys. Take care. Good luck.
See ya.